On behalf of Kearny High School and the Cardcast, we extend our deepest condolences and love to the families of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in the community of Parkland, Florida. Never again.
Welcome to the Kardcast.
Talks about everything, like sports, mental health, art. This podcast is gonna bring a lot,
Listen to the kids, bro!
These 4 years can determine your life.
Those are things that we wanted to bring up and talk about.
I'm so excited!
We're teenagers, we go through literally everything. Like,
There's a lot of pressure. You need to go to college. You gotta think about your life. You have a lot of life choices.
we want to get in touch with everyone. We want everyone to feel that freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Like,
This would be a very nice medium to talk through people who are just not comfortable to talk to someone and just maybe use this. Really hope that everybody who listens to the podcast can benefit the most from it.
What are you waiting for?
I don't know. Something amazing.
All right. Check 1, check 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Kardcast. We know that you guys have been missing us for quite some time now. This is the long-awaited return episode off of the... Ellie is already giving me that look again.
No,
we just started the show. She's already shooting.
No,
Okay.
I didn't even know.
You guys know how this always works. You know how this works. I start doing an intro. She starts coming at my neck visually with her eyes.
I didn't come at his neck.
All right. Anyway, no, all jokes aside, we are back after a few-week hiatus. We've missed you guys. We hope that you've missed us. And we are happy to be back. I think, right? We're happy to be back, right?
Of course.
All right.
Of course.
Guys, they haven't heard from you in a while. You have to
Always.
you have to reintroduce yourselves, the cast and crew, the official cast and crew.
First name, last name,
grade.
Yeah, I think the people want to know.
Two?
Sure, yeah, go.
And
Just
we'll
go ahead.
introduce our guest.
We'll introduce our guest in the end. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a super senior. Imagine.
Okay.
All right. I'm Eliana Vasquez, and I'm a junior.
I'm Cara Vera, and I'm a junior.
I'm Aaliyah Vargas, and I'm a junior.
And our guest today is...
Ashley Zabala, and I'm also a junior.
This is like all juniors.
Everyone's a junior except me.
Okay, yeah, but like...
I'm a senior
Super senior.
citizen.
He's a super senior.
All right, and Ashley, I'm gonna just have to ask you, just because of where you're sitting, guys. We had a technical difficulty before we started the show, so we're sharing a mic. I'm just make sure you project because the mic is more facing Ellie. Something like that. All right, we'll figure it out. So,
right.
Guys, this week we are actually touching on a pretty heavy topic, something that's been the focus of a lot of stuff that's going on here at Kearny High School over the last couple weeks, and we're tackling the issue of school violence and school safety. As you guys know, it's been a few weeks since the shooting down in Parkland, Florida. It's spurred a national conversation, a global conversation of about, are we safe in our schools, and how can we better protect students in our schools? So we decided, right off the bat, we're gonna come with kind of like a hot topic, and we reached out to some teachers, we reached out to some other members of the student body, and we just decided to sit down and have a conversation about this because it's on everybody's mind. So what are we starting with?
We're going to be starting with concerns and worries, not just for ourselves, but for teachers and any siblings that we have in other schools. And I think, this is very important, especially because in my, for saying me, myself, I have siblings in other schools, and, I worry, because I'm always very protective, and I worry that I won't be able to protect them
same
in
here.
their own school, and that's always a place that I've always felt protected in, and to have these things happening, I don't feel safe anymore, and I don't feel comfortable
Lean in
with
a little bit.
having. Sorry, my mic is.
No, you're good. Just
and
lean
I
in.
don't feel like.
There we go.
Good. All right,
Yeah.
and I don't feel comfortable anymore to have my siblings in another school, in which I won't be the one that will be able to protect them.
Well,
Yeah.
that's I know a lot of us have younger siblings, and in my case, having children that go to public schools. Let's first start with, before we even go there with it, how do you guys feel about being here? I mean, there are some kids.
Unsafe.
There are some kids, and I'll start with Aaliyah. But there are kids that say things like, "Yeah, I don't feel safe in school." I've heard even some teachers, have mentioned after this news coming about that they don't feel safe or as safe as they were in school. So, Aaliyah, how do you feel?
Well, for one, like, before, like, any of this happens, I will come to school and it'll be, like, regular, you know, like, regular day, have fun with your friends, you do your work and you go. Now it's like I have to look amongst all my peers and people who I, like maybe, like, oh, maybe, yes, and not, like, maybe they look suspicious now, like, they just look like they could do something, like kids that you don't really see, like, don't talk to, but they look like that way. And I don't like judging people, but after all of this happening, like, you need to like kind of judge them and like see them, like, am I safe around you? Like, are you like thinking any of these things? Because that's just like, I'm scared. So like I feel unsafe in the school. I just want to get here and leave. And it's scary.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I feel like people have always been joking about this every time they get mad or something. Like the first thing they say is like, I'm gonna shoot up the school, and that is not okay.
It's not a joke.
Especially like in the time we're living, where that's one of the scariest things that could ever happen to you, because you're just walking to school and you think it's gonna be a normal day, and then like you're hit with this like crazy day, and it's insane.
Yeah, I think throughout the history of all school shootings, no one wakes up that morning thinking, or you know, not even just school shootings, any instance of school violence that affects a lot of people. You know, when we're talking about things just beyond like a simple fight or something like that, no one wakes up in the morning thinking this is what's gonna happen. You know, when I go to class today, no one's thinking that. So, you know, that's kind of what we're trying to touch on.
What Aaliyah said, it's like you wake up, like you used to wake up feeling like it's okay, like nothing's gonna happen, you're in school, it's like a home to you. But now, like, that times have been changing, like anything could happen, and it's scary to see like that this
we all look at each other differently.
And I know they're trying like to do more security measures, and I totally agree with the security measures that they've implemented, but I don't think that enough emphasis is put on the inside. I feel like a lot of people are worried about people coming in from the outside, but a lot of the time it's from our own students. It's not from people coming in, you know? And I think we need to do something more about that, you know? I don't know.
And that like brings us to like not just rumors, but things that have been going on.
Well, let me stop you right here, because I think Kaya makes a really good point. I want to get into that topic, you know, and some of the stuff that's been going on, you know, throughout the school and the district. But what do you guys think? Like, and Kyle, I'll start with you since you brought it up. Like, how do you identify that person from the inside? You know, or what are some signs, or how do we know? You know, I'm not gonna say who that person might be, but we that is a great point. You know, they're always like, oh, let's secure the building, secure entrances, check IDs, making sure there is no outsider. But how do we tackle that problem of, like,
if it's the student?
Yeah. It's someone that we already know, right? And I hate to use the words. The word that's coming to mind, the term that's coming to mind is an internal threat. And I hate using that kind of language when we're talking about our school. But that's the reality, you know? So how do we deal? Is there a way to can we intervene, or what can we do?
I don't. Yeah.
You can go. But like, it's like Aaliyah said. It's like there's no way to find out, and you're just gonna have to like be protective of yourself and
beware your surroundings.
Yeah,
you have to really be aware.
Like she said, now even for me, I start looking at people, and I hate to like judge, but it's just, I think like the fact that I'm scared, that you just have to like take care of yourself and beware like on what's happening, because someone may say something as a joke, and they might be immature about that stuff. But it doesn't matter. Like, it's time to take things seriously, because it's something scary that could happen any day, and you never know.
And there's really no way of telling. We always think about that person who's like quiet and who doesn't say a lot and who doesn't, but it could just be a regular person like us who just happens to snap. It doesn't, we can't really pinpoint.
You know what happens at home. There's no way. Home, so you can't tell if they have
and nobody talks about wanting to do something like that, so there really is no way of knowing at all.
Yeah. It makes me wonder and everyone's story is different, right? Like, all these different things that have happened for the past, I'm not gonna say decades, because I don't think the school violence thing has been a big issue for many years. Definitely in the last 20 years or so, 15 to 20, definitely 20 years, because Columbine was 99, I believe. Point is, this is a relatively new thing that's been going on in schools, you know what I'm saying? And where do we think it comes from? Because there's a lot of, I mean, and we're talking like globally, we're talking nationally, globally. Everyone's like, oh, well, it has to do with the weapons and people being able to get weapons. Other people saying it's a mental health issue.
Weapons have always been attainable for anyone. I mean, guns, especially here in America, it's such a big thing. Like, I forgot what I was watching. What's that movie? I don't know. It's a really like known book that they make you read as for some English curriculum.
What's the premise of the story?
It's that one really creepy boy that lives in the house. I think a boy or a dog.
Uh-huh.
And like these two kids, they live with his dad. I think their mom passed away when they were really young, and they're not allowed to go to that certain house.
Okay, forget about the story.
The little boy in the book, in the movie,
yeah,
he wanted to get a gun, but he was only like 10 years old. And his dad was like, you can't get a hunting gun because, you know, you're too young. But he was like, my dad is going to give me a gun. What's his face already has a gun. Why can't I have a gun? So I don't think it's just like recent that it's like, oh, we have guns, so let's go shoot up
I feel like it's just like media, video games, and how people broadcast guns and how it's like a good thing to have, when in reality it really isn't. So they say, oh, like they have guns, oh, let me have a gun, and then they use it as their solution to all their problems.
Yeah, because the first thought that comes up is, I have a gun, I can hurt someone if someone tries to hurt me.
I definitely think video games are a huge thing, though. Like,
yeah, I think it's partly because of that, because people play violent games, but it's only a matter of if you're susceptible to that kind of stimuli. But I think that like if the first person or the first main thing, whatever, like you said, Columbine, a lot of people know that, and I think a lot of people are copycats in that way, that they want fame and they want attention. So I think that's another main reason why people do that.
Mental health like comes into play, because they're not like all good up there.
Can I also bring up the fact like that instead of being 18 now you have to be 21 to be able to own a gun? But like in my eyes, if there's a boy, like he's 16 but his dad is 48 and his dad owns guns, what's gonna stop him from grabbing
guns, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not only that,
it's like, what is the age limit gonna do? And like if someone can find one, they're gonna be able to get one. That's not gonna do anything.
So that's what I'm asking. Is it a weapons issue or is it a mental health issue?
It's both.
I think it's partly everything. Yeah. Everything comes into play to make this huge mess. Right. I think it's partly that guns are like easily accessible, and then people's mindset, and then whatever. But I don't think it's one thing that we could just pinpoint. I think it's everything, and there literally is no way to change everything. It's just, I don't know.
I want to add one more thing. I was talking to my science teacher second period, and I was like, it's crazy how guns are like, they're so accessible now. Because I go to the Poconos and they have gun shows, and you're just allowed to get a gun, show your ID, pay for it, and that's it. Yeah, they have gun shows. You show your ID, you pay for it, and you get a gun. So it's like so easy for someone to buy a gun when it's like, it's crazy to me.
In certain states, Pennsylvania being one, I'm pretty sure. I know a lot of states down south, North Carolina, all you have to do is present a valid driver's license, and you are able to purchase a firearm. Now, obviously, in certain places in the United States of America, the culture is a lot different, right? Like in terms of gun culture, down south, we talk about hunting rifles. Rural places like PA, people hunt. That's not so much our culture here in a more like suburban or urban environment, but even still, you know what I'm saying?
Like what's stopping them from driving over there to get it, to bring it back? Like it's just so easy nowadays.
Like a few hours away.
Do we think, and you guys brought it up already, I mean, do we think, it's funny, I was in class the other day and we were discussing World War I, right? So we're talking about like war tactics, and we brought up the issue of like they were digging trenches and the enemy was trying to outflank the other, and they were like, because flanking is like, primarily it's a military term. We're talking about attacking enemies from the side. And I asked people, I said, you guys understand what I'm saying? And they're like, 15 boys in the class, hey, oh yeah, I know for sure, yeah, because in Call of Duty or in Fortnite or in this or that and the other. Do we think does that really weigh in, in terms of like people being comfortable with this type of violence?
Most people that I've known that like play Call of Duty and Fortnite can literally name all the guns by memory.
Yeah.
They know all of them, what they do,
all
how
the
to
damage.
use them. But it's crazy.
I think it definitely makes them comfortable with the idea, but to like a point where it's like becomes like a problem, like, you know, gun violence in schools and stuff, I think that just has to connect with like mental illness. And I hate to say it because, you know, sometimes that's not always the case. I feel like we always say, oh, he's obviously like not okay, but I feel like most of the time it has to do with that. So like I wouldn't say just because you play the games you're automatically gonna do it, but it can push you to
especially
do it.
if you're young and you play those video games, you grow up like knowing it and thinking it's right, compared to when you're like this age, you know better.
I think that's part of it. I don't think that's the full thing. I know a lot of people try to blame it on that, but like just because you have something doesn't mean you use it. Not everybody who has a gun has killed somebody.
Exactly.
So I think that, you know, again, it's full of everything. And remember, you don't have to have a mental illness to do something terrible, but because you did something terrible, you are a little crazy. So I think not everybody has to have something wrong with them. It's just something that, it's like an impulse. It's something that they did just to do it. Like, you don't have to have any reasoning behind it. No, you don't have to have a reason for anything, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so are we all in agreement when we say there's a bunch of factors that are weighing? It's not just one. It's not just guns. It's the wrong people having access to the guns and kind of this gun culture that we live in this desensitization, of to violence. Let's talk about our district. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Actually, we have a couple topics here. We wanted to talk about some of the rumors that are flying around in the district. We wanted to talk about reactions to some of the new security stuff that's been going on in our building. I say we just put it all together. We can just like lump all these topics together. I want to talk about what have you guys heard from other schools. There has been some rumblings I've heard of things happening at Lincoln School.
Yeah, metal detectors.
I want to talk about some of the new things we've been doing here in the building. And yesterday, our recording date is, we're recording on Thursday, March 15th, but yesterday on the 14th we had an organized we recognized the national walkout that we were doing in memorial to the Parkland students, but I think we took it a step further. It wasn't just the walkout, it was also kind of like a vigil and a memorial, not a service, but a memorial celebration or recognition of what happened there. I want to talk about that too, so whatever you guys want to throw out on the table
I
first.
just want to say about the walkout, I loved how we went outside, but I was just really confused because a walkout's to walk outside of the school, like not to the field or to the gym.
Yeah, and that's like because everyone was talking about it, and when I saw it, because on my Snapchat and on the news, all the schools around us got to walk out.
Exactly.
I heard that the middle school also were able to walk out, and then I was like, why can't
I feel like it was
we?
a way for them to like control us. I know like they wanted to keep us safe, which is totally fine, but we're trying to make a stand and like
we're trying
to show that we care and how we
Yeah.
want to change. So by you just letting us into the field, that's just not.
No one's gonna be able to hear us.
Exactly.
I had a teacher. Well, Ellie and I have the same teacher. She was like, having a school walkout and only taking us to the gym is like asking the government how we should run a protest. And I thought that was so funny because it's such a good analogy.
Great point.
And it was like, you know, I even asked my mom. She started laughing. She was just like, I love how the school is making you go to the gym, but all these other schools are going outside.
It's like an assembly. It was basically an assembly that we had.
Yeah. They're symbolizing, you know, this is what we're doing. We're trying to protest against the government to stop these gun violence things. Yeah, we can only keep it within our school, and we can't bring a voice to the town.
And I know, like, I felt like they meant well. They didn't, like, they weren't trying to hold us back, but we have the right to be able to walk out and tell people, like, what should be happening in our society and what we feel is right as members of the society. And I feel like our school kind of held us back from being able to do that.
Yeah, I overheard some teachers saying like how it was rude for us to leave the gym and do that, which
some teachers
were saying that.
Some teachers even gave cuts, not because you showed up late to class or like because you didn't come back late. Yeah, just if they saw you outside, they gave those students cuts.
Which isn't right because
no.
We have a right to express ourselves. And
I overheard this lady yelling at a student who was in front of me when we were walking out, and she yelled at him. She was like, "Why are you walking out?" And he was like, "Because I can." And she was like, "Do you know the reason? Like, why you're walking out? Like, whatever. If you don't have a reason, you're being disrespectful to the people who passed away." And I totally disagree with that. Even though he didn't answer her, she took it as a disrespect. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I think him going outside, we going outside, we understand at least the concept of it. We don't have to understand all the, you know, like all the details, you know what I'm saying? But as long as we're part of a group and the concept of we're trying to stand up for something and try to make things better. I think that's the whole point. I think she totally misconstrued what he was trying to do, and I just really wanted. I was like, that was kind of messed up.
From what I heard, and this is all coming as a shock and a surprise to me, because the feedback I was getting from a lot of the faculty was a lot of people were, administration included, were saying that they were proud of how it was handled, because the walkout portion, it wasn't even planned. What I understood was we were going to have this this kind of vigil ceremony. That's the word I was looking for before. We were going to have this vigil ceremony, this assembly type thing happen in the gym. It was going to be a time for everyone to spend together, to discuss, to express some feelings. That's why they did the poetry reading, and they left the mic open and said if anyone wanted to say any words. That was the only thing that was planned. But the walkout portion happened spontaneously. That wasn't part of the thing.
There was a group of seniors on top that just
they were walking out.
I heard about it second period. They were talking about like walking out, and I was like, yeah, they're probably gonna follow you. And when they did it, I was like, that's good.
And teachers, well, to finish the point, teachers were saying, they were like, I'm proud of them how they handled that, because they said, we didn't allow them to go outside the building. However, they staged their own thing, kept it super organized and cool.
It was respectful, because we waited for them to finish the poems, and then we walked out.
I even said, I heard from our principals. They were like, hey, that was is the best that we could have asked for, how it was handled, and everyone came right back. People of course were late to class, just like anytime we have an assembly or something like that. But it wasn't like I'm not coming back in or anything like that. Everyone just kind of came back in, and teachers were at the top of the stadium filming, and they were just like, wow, like we're really proud of them.
And I kind of I got mad that some people were getting cuts, because it wasn't just they acted like we all decided to plan this. I mean, honestly, I didn't even know what was happening. I thought we were supposed to do it. Me too. Some guy, because I was sitting on the stairs because there wasn't anyone. He's like, get up, let's go. I was like, what? And so I got up and I just followed the line until I realized what was happening. Yeah. And I got back to class, and he's like, teachers were yelling like, we got to give you guys cuts, get into class. I was like,
a lot of people didn't realize what happened. There was so many kids on my side. I was kind of like when you walk into the gym on the right hand side, everyone's like, what's going on? Like, where are they going? I said, I guess they're walking out. And they said, so what do we do? I was like, go ahead. And then I walked out with them.
Yeah, I was like,
what? Some teachers were joining, and I thought that was so awesome, because they were supporting
when I got outside, I was like, oh, we're walking. And we started walking towards the gate. I'm like, oh, we're going out. This is cute. And then we turned. I was like, what?
I was freezing. I didn't have no jacket because it wasn't planned. So I'm over here holding my arms. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I just thought it was super cool that everyone walked towards the gate, realizing the gate was closed. And like, all right, whatever, we'll just do a lap and just do it like that. I just went down on the field. I'm like, let me just make sure nothing crazy happens. But other than that, I'm like, let's just
it was very respectful.
Yeah, I thought it was directed, at least teachers kind of had an idea, because I didn't expect the students to go back to class. I was like, nobody's gonna go back to class.
Saying sit back down. So I was like,
that's also something I felt like if they had a problem with it, someone should have grabbed the mic and said sit back down. But obviously, I think they're honestly just gonna blame it on us. But we did nothing wrong. They didn't stop us. They didn't stop us, so we just kept going. Especially for the students that didn't know anything, you're just gonna follow along what everyone else is doing, thinking that okay, they know what's happening. They probably planned this with the teachers, and then no one said anything, so we're just walking out, and then we get in trouble. It's that makes no sense.
A lot of the children's or the students' mindset was that
the children.
A lot of the students' mindset was that they can't expel the whole school. They can't suspend the whole school. Yeah. So if we do this as a group, they can't do anything to hurt us.
Yeah,
and I think I'm just happy we're all together. It just shows how we all we're all here for each other. Yeah. And even if we couldn't go outside, I'm happy that we all felt the same way, and we're all united as we're all united as one, because we're all here for each other. Exactly. That was really great.
And so like I said, if there was anyone that had a problem with it, that's news to me. Everything I heard from Miss Richardson and other members of the administration, and then just the teachers that I was around, and actually we had a couple even people that came over from the Board of Ed office. There was a couple other department directors, and they were like, this is great, so you guys did, just in case you were thinking that the majority, I'm sure there were some teachers that had a problem with it, but I think the majority of faculty and staff were really in your corner. They thought it was good. What about some of the stuff we've been doing? I mean, we got this line forming in the front of the school every day.
This is honestly, I was late to class the first day.
The first day, a lot of people were late to class. I had a couple people late to my homeroom, because they're like, oh, there's a line out to the sidewalk to get into the school, like it was a club or something. They're like, oh, like there's a line to the sidewalk, and we had no idea. They didn't, this wasn't, oh, we're gonna check IDs, so students may be coming in late. But there's that. I'm noticing there's like a bigger crackdown on uniform because of this. There's a bigger crackdown on. I've been noticing security has been a little bit more vigilant when it comes to headphones. Yeah. So, what do we think? I mean,
Okay.
what have you seen first? What have you guys? Because I'm out in the halls, but you guys know better than me. But like, what do you see? What have you been seeing, and what do you think about it?
You want to go? Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Aaliyah.
So the IDs, I mean, them checking the IDs and for the headphones saying that we can't have it in, all that's fine. Like, okay, because, we had to hear what's going on around the school. But anyone could put an ID on. Anyone could buy a uniform. And anyone could walk inside the school. And if you're checking, it could be a student in the school. So why are you, like, getting so strict on it when it could be anyone? I could show my ID. Yeah, I could be a dangerous person. Like, you just never know.
Yeah, and I forgot who said, I think it was either Ashley or Kaya. Most of the time, it's not someone coming into the school, it's someone in the school that is going to be, like, shooting someone or causing this conflict. And I get it, like, they're trying to do the best that they can, but stopping us one by one to check our ideas. Stop by to check
They are not stopping you one by one to check your ideas.
No, I know, obviously. I
they should have metal detectors.
That's what I said before. Like, it's usually an internal problem, like you said, even though you said you didn't want to say that. But I think we should focus more on what we have rather than who we are, because anybody they don't know all the faces of the school, and I get that. That's why we have IDs. That's why we have identification. But like, we should focus more on not pat downs, but like, just a little, like, checking our book bag or something like that. Like that, yeah. And I know they probably
think about it. I'm not ever like kids in New York. A lot of schools in the hood, they have metal detectors, and those things don't happen there. Yeah. It's always schools that they give the children so much leniency, thinking that nothing's gonna happen when let
me jump in. Let me play devil's advocate, because we say that today. Would you have a problem if that's the new order in the school?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
If there was backpack checks and things, would we not feel like we're being violated a little?
It will be annoying, like, oh my gosh, they're checking it. But in reality, you're going home safe, and ultimately that's the best thing, like, to know that, okay,
I feel safer going to school knowing, or that my siblings are going to school knowing that, all right, they're going to pass through a metal detector, they're going to make sure everyone, like, no one has anything.
I'm saying, but you included, right?
Yeah, of course.
I will be happy.
Because I feel like a lot of people say, oh yeah, I feel safer, but they don't want to deal with the inconvenience that some of these things create.
Yeah, but at what cost? Like a life? Like that, Well,
that's what I'm asking.
Exactly.
Yeah. You guys think it's worth it to do that kind
absolutely.
of thing?
Absolutely. Worth it.
I think it is worth it.
They should really take, like, what we say, because, like, we're the voice, we're the ones who are dealing with this, so they should really take what we have to say in consideration and actually put these things into act.
I think it's a fine, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a fine line, or like a delicate balance between how do we keep people safe, and how do we not infringe on people's, like, privacy, right? Invade privacy, or kind of make kids feel like they're going to school in like a policed environment. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough, right? Because on one hand, it's like we do want to be safe, but on the other side, I think, I'm not gonna lie, I might feel the way coming in every morning and having to get my bag checked, or going through like
bag checking is a little too much.
Yeah, that might make me feel like where are we?
Or like those little wands that they use at the airport.
Even that, I feel like I'm getting a pat down before I come into my job. But it'd be strange.
But I feel like we what we're doing is adapting. It's not like we could find anything that's gonna help us out. We need to adapt to what's happening, and that's the only way that we could really be safe, is by checking. Not opening up everybody's bag, checking. That's gonna be a waste of time. But like metal detectors, that's gonna put a weight off of the security shoulders, off of the administrator's shoulders. We're gonna be a lot safer with that.
But think about kids pass through the metal detectors, it'd be much easier to check their IDs, because you can't have like a clump of students walk through the door.
A few years ago, and you guys, I think we're all here at this point, didn't we have something, I felt like it came and it went, there was a check-in in the front hall.
If you were late,
there was a scanning, right?
In your ID, but
I feel like something, I don't know, some sort of hybrid thing.
I think they got lazy.
I don't know why we stopped doing that, but I feel like some sort of hybrid thing where maybe it's not like a full body scan / pat down, but something that I have to believe there's a midpoint, because we don't want students to feel, like I said, we don't want students to feel policed. And you're right. I love what you said about we have to adjust or adapt to the reality, right? We do, but at the same time, I don't know, something about that, and maybe just because it's like the old school in me, I'm like, it bothers me. The idea, like, I don't want kids to have to go to school and walk through a metal detector. Granted, if you live in an area where it's like that type of violence is and we're not talking about like school shootings, but like we know people are coming to school with razors or knives or stuff like that. All right, maybe that's a different thing because we're like, we know stuff that happens in the street may spill over into the building. In an environment like this, that's a little. It happens, but not to the same degree. And I feel like that would really, I'm talking about from the standpoint not only as a teacher looking at my students, how does it make them feel as a parent? You know, it's like, I don't know. It's that balance that we're talking about.
Well, think about this.
You guys are right, though.
I think it's because Kearny isn't perceived as a violent town. That's the reason why I moved over here, because there wasn't as much violence. Yeah. So if you go to like a place like Newark, it's not rare if you see maybe metal detectors
in some
but
of the
if
schools.
you come to Kearny and it's just like, why are there metal detectors? Parents are gonna talk and they're gonna be like, I don't want my kids moving over there.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of violence.
But what about the teachers carrying guns? How was that?
Bring that up. Actually, I feel like I saw a headline. I didn't click through, but someone somewhere was injured. A student was injured by a teacher.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, right.
By mistake. It was
by
on
mistake.
accident.
Yeah.
Okay. By
because
accident.
of the idea.
And how do you set off a gun by accident? That makes no sense.
As
to
a
me.
teacher, let me just jump out there and give the first response. I think that is the most ridiculous idea of all times. Yeah. The answer to curbing violence, particularly gun violence, the answer is not bringing in more guns. That is not the answer. That is not the answer. That is not the answer.
Some teachers be crazy. So what makes you think they're not the one?
Someone said this.
Like Mr. Crocker from Very Odd Parents. Like, come on.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I do because as a teacher, this is my angle right here.
Mr. Crocker.
It's like someone said, do you understand some of the mental and emotional angst that a teacher goes through on a daily basis dealing with some of these kids?
There's so many
do
memes
not
online.
give them a gun
really
because someone will talk to his teacher wrong and they'll snap. And listen, I love all my colleagues. However, we have individuals, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I think
there's certain people, and I'm not saying just in this school, just educators as a whole, all of us, statewide, nationwide. There are plenty of teachers that I know. I would not want to have a handgun anywhere. Not to mention in the within the walls of a school environment. Forget about it.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking a guy with a gun in our school, and then the teacher comes out in the hallway. They're just gonna stand and like look at each other, like a Wild West movie.
It's gonna be like an action movie.
Imagine giving that teacher a gun.
Wait, what is it? No.
Yeah, and I think we need to get away from the fact that just because you're older, you're less likely to snap. At the end of the that's how they're thinking, because
low patience.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking, that because you're older you can be more responsible. That's not the case. We're all human, we're all susceptible to anything, and I think anybody can crack anytime, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a grandma, whether you're a student, whatever you are.
The teacher from Matilda, that girl, that crazy lady, and Mr. Crocker, like people are really crazy like that. I feel like that's not a solution. That's just
absolutely that's not a solution at all.
And before we move on to like our next topic, I went around and got field interviews from teachers and students, and this is what they had to say about school violence. Hey guys, it's Eliana. With me here I have Chelsea Garcia, and we're going to ask her questions about her feelings on gun violence. So Chelsea, thank you for being here. What are some concerns you have on society today with gun violence?
Thanks for having me. I have a problem with like the NRA not banning guns, or at least having a stricter, regulation to who could have guns, because that's a big problem.
And that also brings up the concern on how they brought up the age limit to own guns, which is 21 now, which I feel like it's so concerning, because if a father has guns in his house, who's obviously over 21, I'd hope, and the child decides to grab his guns, he will be able either way.
I mean, I think age is not restrictive in that matter. Mm-hmm. Any age that has that common sense and knowledge could use a gun to harm people.
And how do you feel that pertains to our school, and how could we help make changes?
Okay, first of all, thank God that our state has more stricter laws. regarding guns than in like the southern states. But I mean, we should be have like more security guards or something.
Hey everyone, it's Eliana, and I'm here with Brianna Heim. Is that how you're saying her name, Heim? Yes. You know, it took me a while to learn that. That's another story. All right, so what are some concerns and worries that you have with gun violence in society?
My concern is that they don't do thorough background checks before they let someone have a license to get a gun. And that causes people who shouldn't have a gun to get one, and very easily.
Mm-hmm. And how could this pertain to our school, and how do we like make changes about these problems?
Well, for our school, you know, it's easy for like kids in like the upperclassmen classes to get a gun because they're older now, and they have easy access to them if they just go out and get a license to get them. And the school's trying to set up like security and all that, but if like a student brings a gun in their backpack, you have no way of knowing. But you could see there's always signs. Mm-hmm. People tell you there's not signs, but there's always signs. Mm-hmm. You know, if you check social media, if you see the way they act in class, suddenly they change personalities. Mm-hmm. You could see that something happened for them to become a different person.
So, Mr. McShane, how do you feel about gun violence in society right now, and how does it pertain to the school? And if it does, how do we stop it?
Well, I will say that over the years I noticed that it's gotten worse and worse because, it feels like, the biggest one that I could think of, recent memory of Columbine, was one of the first major shootings. And it was almost like, it was like, wow, that's like amazing, like it never happened before. And unfortunately, I feel like today it's like too often we're hearing about it, and it's not so rare anymore, unfortunately. It's kind of scary to think that because, you know, if you go to school, you don't really expect that it should even be on your mind. Is there going to be a shooting today? Is there going to be a problem today? I just feel like, you know, there are more, much more people that kind of, I don't want to say are more prone to doing it, but I feel like it's almost like they see someone do it and it makes a big deal, it makes a big scene, and creates awareness. But at the same time, I feel like when is it enough? Because I feel like, I'm a teacher here and I come into work every day. Like, I shouldn't, for my kids, it shouldn't be the first thing in my head, do I have to watch my back today if something bad's going to happen? It should be positive things. And I just feel like it's getting to the point where it's out of control.
I'm here with Galilea Calva. So, Galilea, how do you feel about the gun violence in society right now?
I feel like it has to be stopped somehow because anything could happen, really. Like, there's other things that are illegal, but yet guns still are legal, and that could actually harm someone. And, like, it's just not really a good thing to, allow. That's just what I think.
And how do you think this pertains to our school?
And
how could we prevent it?
Everything that's happened, like in Florida, we could try to get rid of it, try to make that illegal, and so we, God forbid anything that does happen to our school, we prevented it instead of God forbid actually someone gets harmed or hurt.
I'm here with Olivia Bredemis, and we're just going to be talking about gun violence in society right now. So, Olivia, how do you feel about gun violence in society, right now?
I feel like it's not actually the guns, more like the people and the parents who raised them. It's our generation today. So, it's like saying... I messed up.
No, it's okay. You can keep going.
It's like saying the person behind the gun is pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
It's not the gun pulling itself.
Yeah. That's actually different than what other people have been saying. It's just guns, but you never really think about who is behind the gun. I'm here with Joelvis Camacho, and I'm just going to be asking him about society and gun violence. So, Joelvis, how do you feel about society right now and the gun violence?
Well, I feel like there should be armed guards or people who could stop the person with the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Or trained guards.
In the school?
Yeah, in the school.
Okay, so
security.
This brings up the topic. Do you feel that teachers should be allowed to hold guns?
I don't know if teachers are allowed to hold guns because I wouldn't say they're allowed to hold guns.
Mm-hmm.
Because some teachers are very sensitive. Or like,
Yes.
some teachers
Yeah.
just have a bad day or one
You just
day.
feel
That's
like the
problem.
security itself should be allowed to hold them themselves.
Yeah.
And is this like a way to prevent anything from happening in the school? Like that goes with it?
Yeah.
So like, what are some other ways that you feel that us in general, like the school, could stop someone or like something like what happened in Florida happened to us? How could we stop that?
I think people should pay more attention to what people feel.
What people
what they
feel
think.
and what they say online and everything?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Joelvis. Hey guys, it's Eliana and I'm here with Miss Donnelly. You've been here before.
Hi, welcome to the Cardcast.
that's what you did last time. So we're here to talk about gun violence in society, and what's your opinion about it, like right now?
Well, I'm a big old liberal. I just think that we should probably regulate guns. It just sounds like a good idea since we regulate everything anyway. And we should keep also regulating the environment. I'm just throwing that in there. And the overarching problem is that violence is an issue in our society. So it's not gun violence or like stabbing people violence. It's just violence. We have a very violent society,
So you
and we pat people on the back for being like.
So it's kind of what Olivia says. She said it's more like the people behind the gun, not the gun itself.
It's also the gun. Like, that's a slippery slope to, like, being like, no, guns for all the teachers. Like, I think that's ridiculous.
Talking about that,
I don't want a gun. I would be the worst person to have a gun. I would probably shoot you on accident.
I always feel like it's like a Wild West movie where the shooter's gonna be at the end of the hall, the teacher comes out trying to save everybody.
Hi, welcome to the Cardcast. As I run out to save everybody with my magic teaching gun.
And how do you think we could prevent this from happening in the school?
Well, we haven't had a school shooting here, I don't think.
No, yes, but like what I say, like if it were to happen,
we can't. That's a ridiculous question to even like. I feel like the more you try to avoid a situation like that, you are not spending time actually solving the problem. You're putting a Band-Aid on a situation that you can't even have a Band-Aid for. That's my opinion, I guess.
that was like, I don't know, I haven't heard that all day. Like that's pretty interesting.
It's silly to, in my opinion. I'm not, I'm not a trained person. I don't know anything about law enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't know the whole, I don't know everything. I want to have conversations with people about it, but it's, in my opinion, you can't prepare for the worst because then you're spending all of your actual life and all your good time preparing for something that shouldn't be happening. So it's almost you're creating fertile ground for the bad thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just like promoting like loving each other and being nice for no reason. And you don't have to have like a nice day, but just be nice, hold the door for people, smile at people, wave at people, make eye contact with your neighbors, and maybe like bring their trash cans in or something. It's like little things
that'll help society in general.
I think that we're too much inside of ourselves.
Yeah.
So we are
don't talk
annoyed
to other
and mad
people.
about things that are dumb first world problem things. Like, I didn't get my iPhone. I'm going to shoot somebody. Like, that's stupid. We should take all of those things and reverse them by being nice to our neighbors and friends and family.
Thank you, Ms. Donnelly. I like that.
I'm tired.
Honestly,
sorry, I sound loopy.
Thank you. Bye, Ms. Donnelly.
Bye.
All right, so that was good. Thanks for everyone that contributed field interviews and had something to say. So, yeah, Aaliyah, what are we doing next?
Generation issue.
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna do? Good ideas.
But that's the thing. I feel like we went through those.
Detectors,
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, true,
We talked
true.
about
We did
metal
talk about that.
detectors
Yeah.
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we're just right now, guys. For all our listeners at home or on the go, listening to us on your mobile device, we have our production sheet. So we have like a list of topics. Just so you guys can, maybe we'll start posting this stuff up on social or whatever. But we have our production sheets that we go through the show, and we try to stick to like a format, usually a list of topics. But a lot of times we end up just bouncing around and topics go out of order.
Exactly.
So we're looking at it. We're actually in room 219. And we have it up on the smart board, so we're kind of like looking over.
You just told them where we are, so we're gonna have like a lot of fans outside.
Well, we want the fans, once we get our fans up, we want
people
that
listen.
We could do a little meet and greet, little.
What, Miss Donnelly?
It doesn't matter if we have 2 fans; they can come and hang out with us.
Oh God.
You guys never know. We might end up having a Cardcast, like a live audience.
Ooh.
Could you imagine doing like the show like But
Oh,
what-
you hear
It
a
would
bunch of
be like
bickering in the
6
background.
hours
Yeah.
long, and it'd just be us like jumping
We have
around.
number one right there.
Yeah, we got shout out to Sarah. She's here with us hanging out. No,
So-
just as a sidebar before we go back into more topics. Cardcast Live. Would you guys be interested in doing a talk in front of like an audience?
I would love that.
I feel like it would be so long. Like I said, we get so in the moment, we get so like hyped and happy that we just kind of not focus on the like whatever we're doing.
Podcasts actually do that. They'll sometimes do like live. They'll go to like different places and they'll like sell tickets, and people, the fans of the show, they'll do like I listen to a lot of hip hop podcasts, but they'll do a such and such
Joe Budden?
like Joe Budden podcast, right?
Budden's
So
podcast.
they'll do like Joe Budden podcast live, and they'll go run out a club or something and do the podcast live on stage, and the audience just comes and they have like a Q&A with the audience. So maybe one day we'll do that. That'll be cool.
Very interesting.
All right, so what do we got up next?
Generational issues.
I'll start off with that because
Go ahead.
I really do think it is, because I was talking to like my parents and
Aaliyah, I don't want to cut you off. What do we mean by that? Just explain first. When we
Oh.
say, is this a generational issue?
So
To clarify.
Basically, it's what we like. Is our generation in general? Are we the reason? Like, is this happening in our generation compared to like maybe our parents? Like, this wasn't happening when they were in school. Like,
exactly.
Like you were about to say, I think about your parents.
Yeah, like
being
they
in school.
never had to worry about it. Like they'll wake up. They used to play outside in the streets. Nothing wrong will happen. Everything was just, it was simple and easy. And the fact that now they're scared, like for me and for like my friends and everyone, like we go to school and they don't know how we're doing because they never had to worry about it. Now we have to look amongst everyone and see.
And it's crazier because now we have more advanced technology to be able to connect with people immediately. Back then they had nothing, so just imagine that.
Yeah,
so
that's-
you have your
back
phone,
then was
you call
safer,
them,
and now
my mom
it's
never answers.
like now.
You have more ways to keep track of your kids.
And
but
look how more
people are
dangerous
more
it is
scared,
now.
Yeah, because of that.
No, yeah.
Generational issue. Anyone else? 'Cause
It's weird.
I'll wait.
I think just like what Aaliyah said. I feel like technology actually
exactly.
has a big impact on why we have so many shootings maybe now, because it's not always because of this, but like a lot of it is caused by bullying, and it's caused by a lot of
They know
mental
how to
illness.
cope with it.
Yeah, and some people just don't know how to cope with it, and maybe like all the social media or the way we look at things, and like just it could be started for anything. Now that I'm realizing, like if I look at someone, I'm like, why can't I be like that? Why am I not as perfect as them? Or if I'm getting bullied by someone, it's like if I have a problem like that, that could be one of the reasons why I would decide to enter a school and shoot anyone.
Like why us? Like why is it like our age?
Yeah.
Like is there something in the water? Like
Can I give some? Can I give some perspective? What I think?
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It's just my 2 cents. I think you guys, people your age, and I think it kind of ties into everything everyone said so far is true. I'm not saying it's a technology thing, but technology is kind of like the pathway that this is happening through. I think mental illness, and it kind of touches back on what we said in the earlier portion of the show. Mental illness, I think, is on the rise. And when I say mental illness, I'm not talking about like people going crazy. I'm talking about more common things. And in your guys' generation especially, I think things like anxiety at an all-time high. I think depression at an all-time high. I think a lot of kids are struggling with body issues, self-esteem issues. And the reason why I think that's happening, and I read this once, and I think it's true for adults too, but I think it's especially affecting people of a developing age. Yeah. We live in an era where right now comparison is at an all-time high. You can see the 0.0001% of the best of everything in the world. So you're seeing the prettiest, the most in shape, the person that has the most money, the person that has the best clothes. So I think what's happening as a result, we're seeing, back in the day, you weren't seeing the closet or car collection or whatever of celebrities or of other people out there that are trying to aspire to this lifestyle. I think we live in this era where, because of the fact we're constantly comparing, we feel really bad about ourselves. And I think violence sometimes, to tie it back into what we're talking about, is a means of regaining control. You feel like my life, my world is out of control. If I'm a teen, I have no social standing in my school. I'm not accepted. I don't have girls that like me. I don't have guys that like me. I'm not enjoying high school in the way that the stereotypical way that they say teens are supposed to live. I'm not going to parties. I'm not doing this. I'm not on the team. So I think a lot of times the violence is a result of people lashing out because they're angry at the world around them. And a lot of times, when we see the evidence after these cases come out, we see the vlogs made, we see the videos made by some of these people, like their video diaries or whatever, and you could tell there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of pain. Oh, I'm gonna get revenge on the cute girl in school. I'm gonna get revenge on that kid that picked on me. And plus, what you guys said earlier, added to that, bullying because of digital means is at an all-time high now because people say wild stuff because they don't have to say it to your face. So I can hop on social media and leave it in your comments, or do all types of stuff because I'm not there having to face you and see the human reaction that I'm hurting you or seeing your anger, or risk retaliation. So that's my take, just as someone that is a little bit older than you guys. Like, I think that's contributing to us seeing this more and more. And granted, the school shootings, even when I was in high school, Columbine happened when I was in school, and that was a shock. But I feel like since then we keep seeing more and more instances, and not just in schools, but just mass shootings. I think we live in a very sick time. Kids and adults falling victim to this, and a lot of people are upset because of this, and they're taking it out on the world around them.
Do you think if there was no social media, or no technology, this would be happening?
I think it accelerates it. It accelerates and it magnifies it. I think at the end of the day, there are always going to be people that are, we don't want to say crazy, but have violent tendencies, or that they're going to want to violently lash out. I think right now, the digital world that we live in makes everything more prevalent. I think it makes it more magnified. I think it makes it more intense, and I think it has a lot to do with why not just teenagers but just people as a whole are kind of reaching these extremes. I think aside from access to guns, that's another problem. Aside from that, but I think we live. I have these conversations with my dad a lot. Like, we live in a very sick time right now. Like, why are people? It wasn't just school shootings. We've seen more suicide bombings. We see even the thing in Las Vegas that happened months back. Like people shooting out of hotel rooms. It's like we live in a very sick time because I think people are very angry, very frustrated, very anxious, very depressed. And social and the internet overall, I think, like, irritates that a lot more.
Yeah.
You can go.
And I think, like we said before, it could be anybody. I think whether we like it or not, everything affects us, and we internalize things and we materialize them in a negative way. And I think we don't have to have a predisposition to having something mentally wrong with us or unhealthy or something like that. I think, like you said, the internet accelerates it, and it just kind of pushes things 100 times more than what they would normally be. And I don't know.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I just never want this to happen again. Never again.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think to prevent this from happening, I think we obviously we gotta, the access to guns and the type of guns that we are able to get our hands on as Americans that's got to stop. No regular citizen should have access to an assault rifle. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. Semi-automatic weapons. These are things that no one needs. Ashley.
So, what is it? A couple weeks ago, when the first thing of the Florida shooting came out, Trump immediately went to mental illness rather than regulating guns, right? So then I was looking up laws of Florida actually decided to go again with the ban on assault rifles in the state, and they vetoed it. They're like, oh no, assault rifles don't need to go. But I don't know if I could say this, and if I can't, but
we'll edit it out. Go for it.
Basically, they were like, so we're gonna veto assault rifles, but we're gonna try to ban pornography. Because we believe pornography leads to mental illness, and it keeps up kids staying up late, and it brings them blah, blah, blah. Yet they don't want to veto the actual object that the person holds to go up there, click the trigger. But no. They're just like, oh, these kids are staying up late on their phones watching pornography, and that's what's
so funny.
We're laughing, but it's because it's that absurd. Some of the thought process behind it's absurd.
They're like, porn made you do this. What? That makes no sense.
Exactly.
What?
No, not the fact that you have a gun hanging up in your house, but it's the fact that you watch porn that made you do this.
And I think they're just
crazy to
two
me.
different. Like they're totally different topics.
Totally
like how are you gonna
different.
go from?
They just want to have something to blame it on. They don't want to. They don't want to look at themselves.
And its own negative. It has negative effects. We can talk
but
about
they don't want to look at themselves and be like, "This is why." They just want to blame it.
Let's talk about why that is. Because in this country, the NRA, the gun lobby spends a lot of money. These organizations that are in favor of keeping guns in people's hands, backed by the gun industry, manufacturers of firearms, they spend a lot of money with Congress, and they say, look, we need these votes to go this way. They get the right people elected. Listen, at the end of the day, and we're getting really deep when we go on this. The whole country is run by dollars and cents, right? So politicians are quote unquote paid for because we have a strong gun lobby, and what that leads to is laws like that not changing because the manufacturers are standing behind the politicians. I might end up getting fired for this by saying this, but that's true. I'm exaggerating. But a lot of people. Listen, it's not just the gun industry. It's tobacco. It's all these industries.
Yeah.
They get behind politicians. They give them a lot of money, and they say, look, I need the law to say this. These guys go to Congress. They make the law, and that's how it's written. So right in Florida, the powers that be are not going to speak out against guns because the gun lobby, the gun companies, the gun manufacturers are who got them in power in the first place.
I don't know if this doesn't make any sense, but my dad always told me it's not history, it's his story. You get it?
Good point. No, that's
really
right.
is. Like,
it's controlled. Listen, it's
everything's
controlled. And
I can go into this all crazy and stuff, but honestly,
we could turn
it's the
this whole
government.
episode into some real deep.
Yeah,
thing.
for real.
But to keep it where it is, that's the reason why. You know what I'm saying? And that's why. Look, just to go to the original point was, no one should be able to buy an AR-15. No one should be able to buy an AK-47 legally or illegally in the United States. Other countries that don't have guns on the street don't have this kind of violence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they're so peaceful.
Plus, because their gun laws are so regulated. Like other countries, no. Are you ever gonna hear about a gun shooting? Maybe in England, I don't know.
No, you don't. There's not as much gun violence.
Literally,
in
we
England because
as
of that.
America, we are a laughing stock to other countries because they see us and they go, "Why are you so fascinated with guns?
And because
what's your love with it?"
Exactly. Other countries see what is the reason civilians need military grade weapons for? What is that? There really is no reason. So why should we have it in the first place?
Exactly.
It's because we were talking about how do we keep this from happening again. It's a two-pronged thing. One, we have a gun culture in this country. We just do.
Unfortunately.
This country was created on and a lot of people still stand on this today. We talk about your Second Amendment rights, right? We're talking about that, but because this country was founded at a time, it was founded on the backs of men with firearms, so we hold on to that. It's like this romantic notion, but it's not relevant anymore. I think that's one thing, and the other thing, I think it's the combination of access to weapons and mental health. And I think especially in schools, just to kind of bring it back home, we need to focus. We need to institute more programs aside from academics, character education, and we need to develop, in school, talking about, how do we build up esteem? How do we build self-love, and how do we build acceptance, not only of other people, but of yourself, and things like that. And we don't talk about these things. And I think if we walk down that road more, you're going to have less anxious kids. You're going to have less depressed people. You're going to have all those things.
We need to uplift each other.
You're right. And it's just not, unfortunately, it's not the culture that we live in. America it just runs very fast, and we're get it done. We don't take time to take care of self. And I think, get the guns off the street, take care of the people. We'll see this stop. But until we do two of those things,
it's gonna keep on happening.
It's gonna keep happening, unfortunately. And it's kind of like what Kaya said. We're going to be forced to adjust to a reality that nobody wants. So.
I like how you brought up different countries because I haven't thought of that before, but now thinking of it, I haven't heard of other countries that have had these issues. Okay, maybe it has happened before, but not
we never hear these stories about
it's not
anywhere
as
except
big.
the United States of America. Spain? Nope.
No, I never.
Nope.
We're not the American dream no more. That's
Yeah.
No,
So you know, it's time to take a step back and like really reassess what we're doing here in our country, and it's very hard because it's systemic. It's kind of like that means it's like the system that we're built on. These things are they're so ingrained in who we are. It takes a lot of like you got to dig it up and start over, and that's it's almost impossible to do. You know?
It really is.
So, it's been a long time. We're gonna do it to be honest. Where show's coming to a close. We've been rocking for about 53 minutes.
Let's tell Ashley what it's.
Okay, so you got.
All right, I'll tell.
We'll do one before the show. We'll add
Okay.
just a quick moment of silence. You could record that for me
Okay.
too.
All right.
We'll put it in the intro. You know what we'll do a memorial message. So by the time you guys are hearing this part, we'll have put in the memorial message for
We're
this.
gonna add that in.
I'll probably cut it, but whatever.
Yeah.
I like the
Alright.
raw element of the podcast.
Yeah, me
even when it's
too.
not
It's like,
totally
we're not
polished.
perfect.
Yeah,
It's
right.
like, let's
You
just
know, I like
do
to just
it.
roll with it.
All
All right,
right.
so you got to explain to Ashley what a to be
All right,
honest
to
is.
be
This is the first to
honest-
be honest in a long time.
Okay, yeah. So to be honest, it's like almost like towards the end of the show where you just gather all your thoughts. It doesn't have to be necessarily about the topic or like just what you're thinking about until like, you know, just say what you're feeling.
But you got to start it with
To be honest,
and
yeah.
then say whatever. So because you're our special guest, and it's actually cool. You're actually our first kind of like
Yeah.
non-cast member guest. So you kind of we made
Yes,
some
that's
history
like our
today.
first
So right,
history of
we're
the
gonna
Kardcast.
try, and just for people out there listening, we're gonna try to do this more and more. Where you know we have our core crew, but we also want to bring in you guys more and more to sit with us and talk about these things. So in every episode, you know, probably bringing some teachers as well. We want to have one or two guests. You're our first special guest, so we'll give the honor to you to start the first to be honest.
This is To Be Honest. To Be
I just feel like I owe it to you guys, and I owe it to myself, to be honest. I'm pretty much just gonna say what I think needs to be said in order to get this weight off my chest. If more people are honest, then a lot less people will feel alone.
Honesty is hardly ever heard, and mostly what I need from you.
You gotta say to be honest.
To be honest, I know I was gonna say it. To be honest, I really like this topic. It was really interesting, and I'm happy that being the first guest that we were talking about this violence and gun violence, especially when I started screaming. Sorry, that I started screaming about the Florida stuff, but. Yeah.
And can I just say, like, she was so worried. Like, I
Oh, no.
texted her, like, because we had this plan, but obviously due to, like, weather and everything, we weren't able
to
to
execute.
record on the dates that we had set. But she was so worried. She's like, can you send me the questions in advance? I don't think I'm going to be able to talk about this. What do I say? What do I do? I don't know. I don't know. I'm nervous.
It's a lot
Like-
easier than it seems. Like once you get in the flow,
Yeah, I know.
we're just talking.
Literally, like, 7th period, I think Aaliyah heard me. She's like, don't forget about the Cardcast. I'm like, oh my God, I have the Cardcast today. Like, I was freaking out.
Yeah, once you almost forget that we're recording and we're just talking.
And you did very well.
You did good. Yo, gotta give her another round of applause.
Yeah,
That was a first timer. That was pretty good.
All right.
All right, who's next up?
You want to be next? Oh, okay. To be honest,
Lean
okay,
in,
wait,
lean in.
wait. All right, let me hold up. To be honest, it's been a while. It's been It's been a while,
to be
and I
honest.
think this was a good comeback. It was an important issue, and I think as students, I think this was just like the walkout. This was like our way of having our voice heard, and it was such a great way to do it. And I think we did it. I think we did it respectfully.
Absolutely, I agree. I think you guys did it.
And I think that's really good.
Next up, who's next?
I'll go. To be honest, I don't even know what to say. Just like never again. That's really it. Like guns are whack. That's it. That's really how I feel.
Our Twitter hashtag, guns are whack.
Guns are whack.
That's real. I like that.
To be honest, I think it's really scary that it's just as dangerous to go to school as it is to walk alone at night. I think that's really scary, and I'm hungry.
So you got to throw in the random. To be honest, sometimes. To be honest, and I said this already, but I just want to reiterate. To be honest, I think you guys did an excellent job with this first episode back. I feel like I was like listening to you guys in the first couple minutes. I feel like we eased into it, but once you guys, there was that point like 10 minutes in, it's just like we never left. So you guys did an excellent job. And to be honest, I agree. This was a great topic to start with. I think everyone handled it really well, and I think it's this topic is the reason why we started this show. You know, not saying this particular topic, but these kinds of topics, that this is the stuff we need to be talking about and having these conversations, because the only way things change is step one, we got to talk about it and figure out what's wrong, and then, you know, put those words into action. But we hope that from listening to the show, you know, we kind of spur some ideas and thoughts and maybe move things in a different direction.
And before we go, do you want to say it like how we, like, we're still on SoundCloud, I think, but how we are now on YouTube?
Yeah, we're switching it up. All the episodes in this episode, you're probably going to be listening to it on YouTube. We're going to use our SoundCloud just because we have limited time on SoundCloud. We're going to use it for small highlights of the show. Those are going to be like our show previews, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, just little great moments from the show. And we're going to use YouTube as our primary platform. All the episodes that we've recorded previously are up there now, and that's just how we're going to move. Also, we got some great I have to say, I told you via text, I'm pointing out Aaliyah right now.
Yeah.
Your topics, they were in the thread with you, me, and Kaya, and then I cut and paste your text and put it in a different thread that I was talking to Ellie. Because we got to switch out of Remind, too. Remind is trash
It is
for group
trash.
messaging.
I don't know
We got to
why
go back
you
to
wanted to
group
go there
me.
in
I
the
was
first
like, I tried to
place.
like write to all you guys, and it was coming
Yes.
back individually, so we're going to switch that
Yeah.
up. But Aaliyah has some fire topics. Like,
They're
yeah,
like,
the really
I
great
did
topics.
good.
I like,
I
she
was
sent the list. I'm like,
I
these
felt
are going
real
to be
bad
really
because
good.
he texted and I was like, oh shoot. I was like, oh, I didn't do anything.
No, I feel like you guys,
It takes me a whole hour to think of one, and like in 2 minutes,
we
Aaliyah has
have-
like 25.
No,
She's like,
we have
"Alright,
some-
we're good, we're good.
We're gonna start executing those shows. We have a lot of good content coming up because those are great ideas. So stay tuned with us. You know, we're gonna try to keep rocking consistently week in and week out between now and the end of the school year. And
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Honestly, I have a question. When was America ever great again? Like, you know, like great in general.
We're gonna end the show and then we'll answer that question.
But yeah, but like I'm thinking about it.
All right, folks. Have a good week. See you next week.
I'm always
Peace.
ignoring.
I almost said thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Be sure to check us out every week at soundcloud.com/the Kardcast. That's TheKardcast. And at the same name on all major social media platforms. Peace.